So here we are with Har, and we have a bunch of mangoes to taste, so I hope he has room for them. We're tasting definitely non-saleable ones. So, you know, one side has a problem, the other side should be perfectly good. So, here we go. Very juicy. Bottom of the fruit is just a titch overripe. And the top of the fruit seems perfect to me. But, this variety happens to be best, which, of course, I don't believe in a best variety of mango, but it was the best out of the whole bunch of seedlings that I planted many years ago. And so it just, that name sort of stuck. But it is a very nice mango.
But you wouldn't have called it that if they had all been like this example.
Right, I mean, out of the seedlings that I planted seeds of good varieties, really nice varieties. And, you know, out of all of those that eventually fruited, because the seedlings take a long time to fruit, that one was the winner, so that's why it was called best.
Mm-hmm. But I'm saying this particular fruit from that tree doesn't live up to what the others from the tree have usually been.
Yes. Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. Yeah. This one.
It's not right.
It's the only ripe example that we have. We haven't really started picking best yet, and it does seem full, but it also had been you know, resting on the ground for a bit, and so you know, it's not at its peak, but it's still you know, I wouldn't say no to that.
No, it's perfectly refreshing. The first fruit off any tree at the start of the season are usually not as tasty as ones a little later on. And as she said, definitely not after baking on the ground for a while.
Considering that, you know, we're looking at like this kind of damage,
right.
It's held up darn well. But we can move on to another variety. So do you have any impressions as far as what this particular fruit tastes like? What other varieties, or just a general description of the fruit itself?
It's in the general category related to Hayden, and doesn't get overripe as fast as Hayden. So anyone who likes Hayden and related mangoes would like that as well.
So, like, the related mangoes would include Valencia Pride, Glen, Bailey's Marvel. Trying to think of the other ones. There are tons of Cushman. Even is a Hayden relative, even though it doesn't look at all like Hayden. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of very popular Florida varieties that are related to Hayden.
Southern Blush.
Yeah. Okay, so moving right along.
I'm not recognizing it.
So this is, it's plenty juicy, so hopefully it's at the proper stage of ripeness. It looks green, but it's full.
Very nice.
It's a good one. So,
Peachy and spicy. Resinous near the skin. I like resinous. What's the name?
this is Carpe Diem, which is a variety that occurred on the farm.
Carpe Diem.
You don't want to eat it a day late. So seize the day, eat it on the day, but not the next day. But it was also named because of its location in the grove. So it's was CZ was the, so seize the day, Carpe Diem. I know, it's like not, it's sort of like going a few steps in order to get to that name, but that's what it.
And you say that originated in this grove? Is the tree still there?
Yep, I've made multiples of it. It didn't fruit much at all last year, so that's probably why you didn't notice it. But yeah, the first year we had just a couple of fruit, and I thought it was really good. And then the next couple of years, not very much fruit, and the fruit that we had were not like this. But this has got back into the top tier as far as I'm concerned, as far as different varieties of mangoes.
And you gave it a good marketing name.
So,
yeah, that gets thumbs up from me. Now, as you've already noticed, I'm feeling kind of particular today.
hard to please. Some days he's harder to please than others. This one also has some problems. It was a drop, so let's get this before it gets. Oops, that's not going to be clean slice here. Let's see if I can. Yeah, that one I think will be okay. You have to avoid the seed because the bruise went to the seed and sort of spread around.
Nice smell. More aroma than any of the others so far today. Parchment skin. Bite the pulp off and there's nothing there but like rice paper. So is that the Kaeli-K?
It is. Probably not the best example of it. This one, to me, tastes fruity. Just a sort of a general fruity flavor, but there have been other ones that have much more mango flavor to it. It's a very smooth fruit as far as not quite as smooth as probably Carpe Diem, but as I said, it's this one happened to be a drop, so not the best example, but fruit is sort of hard to come by this week, so we're dealing with what we have. But you might be able to see the bruise on this slice. The first time I sliced it was quite noticeable halfway into the slice. So
Probably tastes good though.
okay, got the bruise analysis now.
Nothing wrong with that.
The fresh bruises are pretty good, but there's some varieties that if you taste a bruised fruit a little bit later on, you're not going to enjoy it. Well, Looks like we have 2 stages of ripeness of this.
Is that coconut cream?
It looks that way to me. So, slice looks good. No bruise involved. Very juicy.
The skin is very soft. You would think it would be something to munch right up, but it is bitter.
And that's actually a plus for this particular variety because squirrels don't seem to get into it at all. And there have been people who've planted this variety because of that one thing. They have a squirrel problem, and so they plant coconut cream so they can get some mangoes.
It's what I call an oddball flavor. Very distinctive. If you like it, it's a must-have.
Yeah, the thing that, some people taste the coconut flavor, others do not. But there have been a lot of fruit lately that have had a orange tangerine flavor to them. It should be a less ripe coconut cream. So it's got some tartness to it, as expected from less ripe.
And are you liking it today?
This one doesn't have the, like the wow flavors that a lot of the other ones have had. And I'm not sure if would have developed it had it been a little riper or not. It's just a smooth fruit right now that has a little bit of tartness. It doesn't have a distinctive flavor like that nice orange flavor that I've been tasting in some other coconut creams.
When I was biting it off the skin here, there was one little place with a very nice flavor, and the rest of it seemed tasteless to me.
So we'll move on. We have just a couple more here. This one sure looks like East Indian.
A beauty, as East Indians go.
Yeah, East Indians often have spots. It's very rare when you have a ripe fruit that doesn't have the spots. It's very prized fruit for people from much of the Caribbean.
I did not grow up eating this. Nevertheless, it's one that I really like. It is something like the rosa that I did grow up eating.
It's got a lot of flavors going on with it.
Very special.
In general, it's like a rich flavor. It's juicy, it's got some fiber. But there's like different parts of the flavor that would be described completely differently. Like, for instance, part of the flavor that I'm tasting, I would say is more like a caramel flavor. But then there's a lot of rich Indian type flavors in it too.
Sweet, perfumey, spicy, resinous. And lots of fiber in your teeth.
Good to have spaces in between your teeth, it helps, Okay, so I think we have, 2 more. that a little differently. I got a little bit of a bruise going on
Is that
here.
another coconut cream?
Nope. I think you'll recognize it pretty quickly.
Carrie.
You've had thousands of Carries over the years, right? This one does look a little different, so that was what threw you off, I'm sure. But we couldn't fool you for long on the Carrie thing. So yeah, this is like the variety that practically launched Zills. I mean, they really, the hundreds of thousands of plants that they must have sold over the years, or millions probably, is amazing, because this particular variety is just was a huge step up in Florida mangoes when it came out.
Of course, in the early years, he sold probably way more Hayden than Carrie. It was simply special that Lawrence Zill had learned how to propagate mangoes really well, and so instead of having Hayden seedlings, people could have the bona fide grafted Hayden, because Lawrence Zill was producing so many of them. And of course the Carrie and several other varieties. But yeah, the Carrie was the first famous one that actually originated at Zill's.
Yep, nice fruit. People from India, it is Carrie's Carrie is the variety that seems to be most popular with the people from India and Pakistan, and it basically has what they look for in a mango. And it's accessible in Florida. A lot of the mango varieties that are superior in India don't have quite the same flavor, or don't grow as well in South Florida. So this is like a good substitute for that.
And always one of my favorites. So it was silly not to recognize the bottom end of it there.
Yeah, we've only seen 100,000 of them or something. So this is a fruit punch, and it it was a drop, and it's actually pretty rare that I find a fruit punch drop. They seem to hang on the tree for a long time, and that's not the case with Carrie. Carrie will drop when you blink your eyes, and fruit punch. There have been a lot of times that I pick a green fruit, but it's like has a special look to it, and I'll have a nice hollow stem, and it will be on that tree, like for another week or more if I hadn't picked it then, and still be fine. So that's sort of one nice thing about fruit punch.
And the squirrels don't seem to bother those as much as a lot of the others.
This particular fruit has a slight amount of tartness that you don't always get. I mean, it's very slightly underripe, but very soft flesh. You don't notice any fiber in it. At least I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, most of the flavor is, flavor's all the way through the fruit, but it's most intense near the skin.
And it's long been one of my favorites. Don't eat them very often because usually they're not bruised or bitten into. So that's a good point in the favor of fruit punch, is that the fruit are usually in pretty good condition.
Yeah, it's a nice producer. The fruit are large and colorful, so very attractive. When they aren't. I mean, this is not the attractive version of the fruit, but they are usually very attractive. And it's a popular flavor.
Mm-hmm. And it can get much more intense than this one is today. This one's fine, though.
Yep, wouldn't say no to it. Well, thanks very much.
May I have another piece of Carpe Diem?
Oh, certainly.
Thank you. Definitely the best one today, the Carpe Diem.
So a lot of these are not at their prime. Some of them are, though. We just got together things that were ripe or almost ripe, and so could you sort of give your quick analysis or impression, I should say. Analysis is way too complicated. Just your quick impression of the different mangoes that we tasted here.
Definitely a wide assortment of flavors. So the Carpe Diem and East Indian and Carrie are all very good here today. The others can be very good, and today they're so-so. That's the case with any kind of fruit. Anyone who studies wines know that certain years of grape harvest and from certain farms are way better than others. And on the same farm another year, not so good. So the prices of wine vary by bottles, from a few dozen dollars to hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars, just because of the observable differences in quality. So same goes with mangoes. When you know a mango variety well and like it really well, it doesn't mean that every last one that you get from your favorite tree is going to match up to your expectations.
Well, thanks very much for helping us taste this and for your impressions of everything.
Grab some more Carpe Diem.